Oh, am I supposed to do this?
Hmm.
Can't even see me. Hey, what do I? Let's go. Let's go small.
Oh, you're right.
Thanks for work on it.
Hello.
I already did. I said it today. Oh, okay. There's Mason. Really? Wait. Stop. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
You didn't know how to do that?
no, I don't know how to do any of that.
I don't know how to do that.
His name. What's that?
But you should be all set for this, be able to use it tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Is there a remote that I use or do I just, oh, okay, perfect. Thank you. Enjoy your plane.
I thought you wanted to watch.
Yeah, I do.
Just want to make sure nobody's waiting here. We just got a new projector in our classroom and just a second ago. Can everybody hear me okay? I don't think I'm muted. Yes, okay, good. All right.
We got a new projector.
It's at the front of the room now instead of on the side.
We have one that's on the side.
Well, now it's at the front instead. They'll take the old one away and tomorrow.
Downstairs.
You don't know I
Just want to make sure nobody's waiting. I don't think anybody's waiting.
It's so light.
Back. We'll put your leg
Yes.
How do we get to where we were?
Thank you. All right, well, let's go ahead and start. And if anybody pops in, they can catch on. Oh, wait, I have to record this. Not, you won't be recorded, just me.
Why do we only have 3 people?
Oh boy, I don't know how to do this. Let's see.
She doesn't know how to do it.
I'm supposed to record it, but I don't know how.
She's like us. She didn't know how to do it.
This could be bad. Video. Oh, it's on. I think it's on. Okay. All righty. So what I have for you, oops, we're gonna have to go back a little here. Okay, I just put together some of the things I wanted to tell you about, and then you can ask me questions. I know I put it in the class letter about the memory, but I know it's unusual for teachers to do this, but I give out a new memory, we learn it, we say it, and then the next week we'll do it again, and I'll even pop it up again later in the year. And one of the reasons is it's beneficial to continue to keep things in your mind, and it helps create the connections that your brain needs, but also simply from Psalm 119 verse 11, when it says, I've hidden your word in my heart that I might not sin against you, just keeping God's word in our brain so that it's something that can come right back to us when we need it is really important. And quite honestly, once we get into the year and everybody gets busy, what's going to happen is they're going to sit there hurrying. Some of them will sit there hurrying, trying to learn the verse really fast, which isn't really memorizing. And so that way we'll do it again and again. And I think, and hopefully most of them understand if they learned it the first time, then it's pretty easy from then on. I've already had quite a list today say it again because they learned it already once. So I'm not sure if there are any questions about that. I do want you to know if there's any trouble, if the verse might be too long or too difficult for your child, let me know. And we'll adjust, okay? Because I try not to make them very long. This one's a little different because it's the one for the school year. Any questions about that? I can't see everybody, so you just have to unmute if you want to talk. All right, next, the colorful plastic envelopes. They just need to be emptied. You can send stuff back in them. They come home on Mondays, send them back on Tuesday, and make sure you sign it. There's a few parents who haven't signed yet, and that's okay. That just shows me that you received it with things,
There was no.
because
I didn't even get the envelopes out.
once in a while, if there's something in there a student doesn't want their parent to have, they remove
Yeah, and
it.
I brought it, and then I didn't
And
get
so
that.
that way I just know that you got it.
Monday.
Any questions on the envelopes?
Nope.
Okay, here's the new thing.
Yes.
Google Classroom. We just signed in Friday. Your child has an email. It has been taped into the top part of their assignment book in the front page. The email is not an email to use for email. It's been disabled, that part. So they do not have an email. What they have is access to Google Classroom. So when we do any remote learning, if it's a snow day, if COVID shuts us down for a little bit, or on those planned learning days, we're going to use this Google Classroom. And we'll get directions to you further. Honestly, I've never used it before, so I just got it set up on Friday, and I was just learning how to post an assignment today. But everybody is in now, including Will. We were having trouble with his, but it's all working now. And they have a really strange password. The word, their email is the first two letters of their first name. So if your name was Bob Smith, it would B-O, and then the last two letters, or the first two letters of your last name. So it'd be B-O for Bob, and then S-M for Smith, B-O-S-M. And the first two numbers of their graduation from St. John, so it'd be 26 BOSM at stjohneagles.org. But it's taped into their assignment book at the very top, and it says Google Classroom. I wrote it right in there. And so what they would do is they would go in and they'd click on my class, and they'd be able to find everything that they need to do right there. Okay? And so they would just sign into a google.com like an email, but then they would click on the waffle. There's a little waffle up in the top that goes to Classroom, but we will be practicing this quite a few times in class so that they're not going to be completely not knowing what they're doing. But if it still doesn't work, then, if we get stuck in that place where you can't find it, you let me know. But everything should be there. It's supposedly easier, and because everybody in 3rd through 8th for sure is doing it this way. I don't know about the lower grades. They were still trying to decide how they were going to do it, but music will be in Google Classroom, and so will PE. And also if someone sees Mrs. Myers, that would be another place. So you just click right on those classrooms to see what you're doing. Does that sound okay? Yeah, they did figure out they can send messages to each other when they're in it, but everybody had to get in. And Mr. Wells said if they got too crazy, we can shut that off. So right now, there's nothing that's crazy about it. It was just when they got in, they got to see what they could do. But there is no email. That way, it makes it safe and secure. All right, assignment books. Hopefully you're seeing those assignment books. It's the first year that we'll do something like that. It'll happen every year through the school. That's a way for students to be able to, hold on, where's my purse? Sorry, anyway, my son just walked in. The assignment books are a way for students to start learning to be organized, and I have everything written on the board from the top to the bottom, and at the end of the day, we fill everything out, and then I sign it and make sure that they did it. it's got assignments, but it also has just things to remember. So maybe it's just wear PE shoes tomorrow. Tomorrow, it would normally say music for those students who have strings, because if they're playing strings, they'll have to remember to take their instrument with them, and especially if they're taking it home to practice. And there's just 5, I think, that are doing that. Okay, so it's just a memory tool too, and you should go ahead and ask to see it, because it might have a little clip. I have a binder clip in most of them. Some of them have lost them already, but on Monday it'll come home with their memory sheet clipped in. And it'll also have their spelling words when we start spelling clipped into it. And then any little notes that are off on that week, I'll often clip it in there too, so you guys can just right away have what you need. It's not a bad tool to teach. Some people, like my daughter, still use a book now because that helped her, but some people don't too. It's up to them, but it's a good way to start learning. Is there any questions about that? Are there? Okay, so if that gets lost, then we usually have extras that students can acquire a new one, but they'll have to pay for it. So water bottles and masks. Everybody's doing great with the masks. Mostly the time they're doing great with the water. I do have backup cups and a few just disposable water bottles if somebody forgets. But I am going to send them home on Fridays because they need to be washed. And if you want your child to have a new one every day, that's fine too. We're doing a good job of getting our desks disinfected and all of those things, but still, water bottles probably shouldn't stay all year without ever being cleaned. So just in case I made them take them. I don't know that they gave them to you. And some people are using disposable masks, so it doesn't matter. Okay. All right. Okay, the room is cool. They would say cold. It's just the way it is. The blowers come from up on top of the ceiling and they blow right down on everybody. So no matter what temperature I decide to make it in there, they're going to get blown on for the time that it's on. So now that doesn't happen in the winter. So right now, have a sweatshirt or a jacket that you can just leave on your hook if you have one, or bring it back and forth so they can adjust. When they come in from PE, they want the air conditioning on and then they want it off, and that's all good. In the winter, we won't run heat in here at all, but it's still going to get up into the high 70s. Sometimes it didn't get any higher than 80s, but now that there's so many students in here, it'll get warmer. And I can't do anything about that either because there's no windows in this room. So dress in layers and it'll be all good. Besides, we're getting really close to the time when we'll never know for sure. Do you need a jacket to go outside? Do you not need a jacket to go outside? Okay. So in case, you might want to ask your child. We did find one sweatshirt that was packed away in the office for a student last week, but most of the time I don't have anything extra since we're not supposed to be sharing. So I took that one home and got it washed. So that's room temperature. AR, or accelerated reader, is going to not start until September. The real reason for AR is twofold. One, it breaks down skills based on the questions, so I can get a little glimpse of their comprehension ability, and it also basically just lets me know that they actually completed the book, because it's a quick 5 or 10 question. Unless they start reading big books, there can be up to 20 questions, but it's a really fast way to make sure that the book was read and that your child's reading, because this is the last year where we're learning to read, and next year everybody will be reading to learn. And so it's really important to be getting those reading skills up as much as we can, and everyone will be reading at their level. They'll be assigned an amount of points. It won't be many points at all, but enough just so that I know that they're reading, in the evenings a little bit. And we always read at school too. So if you're not a high reader, you're not going to have to read a high reader book. If you're a high reader, you're going to be challenged to read something better so that you're improving. Okay? Any questions on that? I know it's tricky. They cannot take the tests at home anymore. That's been shut off. So the tests come here. That way, nobody is having their older brother or sister take a test on a book that they read before, I guess, is the way it works. And other than that, though, they can read at home. And I will put in a parent letter. There's an accelerated reader online place. I think it's called, I got to look, AR Books Online or something, where you can actually look and see if a book is an AR. I've had a parent who's been sending me in just the title of the book and the author, and then I look it up for them and we get the test done. And then they also, as they acquire their points, can get prizes. So that might help and motivate them. They've seen the list of things they can get. They can get some candy, and they can get treat box, and they can get books from the book order, some different things like that. All right? Okay.
I have a question, Peg. Do they have like a certain time in class to do the AR test?
Yes, they'll have time in the mornings every morning to take a test, and then if they let me know, there'll be other times too. Sometimes they forget and they wait till the end of the day, and that's not as easy, but there's plenty of time to get a test done as long as I know they need to. And if it's
Okay.
a student who has trouble, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if a student has trouble with reading the test, we can also work on that too. Like it'll read it to them too sometimes, because sometimes the questions are harder than the book ever was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Uh-huh. Yes, they just have to let me know that they need to take a test. And they can do that. Any other questions? Okay. All right, so that's all I could think of that I needed to tell you. I guess if you have birthdays coming up and you want to bring in treats, I hope you saw that they have to be packaged. My daughter just brought in ice cream, packaged ice cream for her students or her class. If you want to do that, you're welcome to. If you don't, that's cool too, because we're not allowed to have anything homemade right now. But and somebody actually brought in pretzels today to share, and those were all prepackaged and ready to go. Are there any questions about anything you want? You can always call me. And I've got my phone number. I'll answer a text much quicker or call much quicker than I will an email, because I can't, well, first off, I can't check it during the school day, except if I have a break, like our quick lunch break. But otherwise at night, I might look once or twice, but that's it. And then I'll check again in the morning. And you can call me up till probably 9 o'clock. I don't go to bed too early if you get stuck on something. And if there's something that was due and it doesn't get done because there's a reason, you were busy with something, just let me know. It's okay. It's just, yeah. I mean, there's usually reasons when things don't get done that are beyond what we can control. Anything else? Anything you students want? This is going to get recorded and sent if you really want to, but you could you could flip through and just look at the slides if there's something you need. We have had a couple students in the school that were sick and they got tested. So then siblings have stayed home for the most part, but nobody's had COVID. They all came back negative, and they were sick like with a cold. Nothing too big. So, but they're watching.
So in the wintertime, you said your room's going to run warmer.
It will run warmer, yes.
Okay, so do you have kind of an action plan of, because the kids are going to feel warmer fever-wise? I mean, to monitor that?
That's a good question. I'll have to ask Mr. Walls that. I know, because I know that I've seen even, I forget who it was. My sister's a nurse, and she was saying someone got their temperature taken and they had a fever. and they just sat in the air conditioning and did it again, and they didn't have a fever anymore. So it will be warm. And so I guess we'll just have to I'll ask him. I know that it's good to dress in layers, so that because t-shirts are going to be more comfortable in the wintertime. It's not like it's horrendously warm, but it's warm. It's not. So that's a good question. I hadn't thought of it because we haven't dealt with it. I do know though, when sometimes kids think that they're hot, we have checked and they haven't had a fever. So hopefully, but if we're using that different kind of thermometer, maybe that will make a difference.
Okay.
I will write that down here so I can ask. A good question.
Thanks.
As I don't think anybody else in the building has the warm problem. Anything else? I know that the PE is a little different, and she's making them have gym shoes, which is fine. And then on Thursdays, really all she wants, she doesn't care if they change, if a student comes dressed nicely and they want to change, or if they don't change. It's just that they're going to be doing lots of different, more active aerobic type things. In conditioning and strength building things, and so they should be in comfortable clothing. So in blue jeans and things like that are not going to be acceptable for that. And if you need to, if they need to change, that's fine. Of course, that's probably, I don't know. My daughter wears her leggings and sweats or whatever that day and just doesn't worry about it. But that's up to you guys. It's not, it doesn't have to be a completely different outfit. But the shoes, she's not going to let them participate if they're not in some kind of shoes. And it doesn't have to be ones that sit here at school. It can be whatever they're wearing. I know a lot of the guys say, I always wear gym shoes. So that works.
Sorry if I missed this. I don't know what you said about homework, if they're going to have daily homework, or is it going to be if they didn't, Holden said it's if he doesn't get it done in class, it might be homework. I don't know.
That is most of the time what happens. If it didn't get completed, it will be for home. Now, when we have spelling,
Okay.
the weekly thing will be the spelling words or the memory. But other than that, I try really hard to not, if someone just doesn't get it done, there's been a few times a few people have they've maybe had an appointment, they came in late, so they've had to take something home and finish it. But I'd rather not have homework if we can help it.
Great.
Except for, well, I guess reading maybe whatever pages a night, 15 pages a night, that would be it.
Yeah.
Okay. And that would be 4 nights a week. Out of 7, just so that we're being consistent in reading.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, we got that.
Yeah. That way everybody can do their thing because people are busy these days.
So those 15 pages a night, can that be like you reading to your child and then them reading with you, or are you just wanting the child to read the 15 pages?
It doesn't matter. It can be shared. Here in the classroom, they're going to be reading to themselves. I do have, I scanned all the books in my room into my computer this summer because I learned how to do that. And I've got over 1,000 books in here. So we don't have any problems with missing out on a library. And I can get books from the public library they'll deliver as well. And I have all kinds of levels. I know I don't have everything they want, but so there's plenty here for them to read to themselves. And then if you read at home together, that's great. And they can take tests on that too. The AR thing will say, I was read to, we read together, or I read independently. Because some families read chapter books together. And we can test and see, did they hear it well too? So it's all good, because if you want those prizes, you got to take the tests.
Yeah. And then back to the Google account that you have for them, you said that they can send messages to each other. Is somebody monitoring that?
I can see all of it. Yes, I can see all of it. And that would only be when they get into actually to Google Classroom to do something. So unless they go to Google Class, right now they were just writing blah, 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 silly, or hi. But Mr. Walls already said it can be disabled. So I will look at it, and if we have it, yeah, and we'll just see. Because I don't think there's any need to send messages to each other, honestly, except to me.
Yeah.
If they have a question. I just didn't
Right.
realize that it was even going to be a thing until he got in. Well, till we got in Friday and they did it, and Mr. Walls looked at it and said, "Oh, we can make that go away." Yeah.
So technology wise, do you feel like you're doing more technology than normal this year than other years? Because Carly said you guys have been doing Moby Max and
Moby
you guys have
Max.
been,
Yep. We've been well, it has been a little bit more lately just to get started. Today we started practicing our typing skills so that we can learn to type, because if we get to the iLearn test at the end of the year, they're going to have to be able to type stories.
right.
And while they do give them all the time in the world, nobody wants to sit and type a story that's hunt and peck for the whole time. So we're starting keyboarding skills. The Moby Max is after we've done a lesson. It's a check to see what we know and reiterate so far. And for some people, it's taking longer than others, so we'll just stop. But I think it's a decent mix, but it probably will become less. But we've got to get them knowing how to do things in case we have to go home for any reason for a little while.
Right.
Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, just curious.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And I know that Epic is changed if they used Epic. Did they use Epic last year?
Just for remote learning.
Remote learning, yes. Well, they've got access to it still. They didn't used to do that at home. Just so you know, they do have access, but it's not the complete thing. It's a shortened version unless you want to pay for it. So we will only use Epic as maybe a treat. They've done it a couple times just for fun, but only like for research here, because they have some really good nonfiction animal books. Or we did something with different countries. We were doing comparing and contrasting other places last year and used it where I assigned them a book that they read about a different place.
Okay.
So anything else? Also keep me posted if you hear any complaining that you think is concerning about, if somebody's bothering somebody, because kids don't always tell me if it's something that's of a concern. Sometimes they just want to protect each other, but if it's not okay, then let me know.
Every day.
There's 22 of them. I can't see everything, and some kids are really good at keeping it secret. So.
22.
All right, one more question. So the lab they're using, like if by chance we have to go to remote learning, would those go home with them or those stay at school?
Okay, I do not believe they go home, but I will ask, because we don't have enough for the whole school. Well, maybe we do now for third and up, because we have enough in the classroom for everybody. So it's a good question.
Yeah, just
I will ask.
we have computers here, but I just didn't know since all their stuff would be on there already.
Yep. I will be adding a sticker list in there as soon as we do. There's a few other things we'll do that has all of the password information into their assignment book too, so you won't be having to guess. Right now it's just the Google Classroom, but because I don't ever assign Moby Max at home or anything like that as a general, that's all just extra stuff we do here for practice. Anything else? Okay, well, just let me know if there's anything else you want. If you want, I think this stinks that we don't get to see each other. I really did not realize how much I liked talking to parents when you came by and seeing, how things are going at home too. Remember to let me know that too. If someone had a bad night or something, it's going to be quite understandable or they didn't get sleep. I had a parent send that to me recently. Heads up, it's 10 o'clock and my kid hasn't gone to sleep yet. So it's good to know, because it might make for a harder night or day, the next day. So keep me posted, and hopefully it'll all change really soon. Anything else?
You have to take care.
Did they tell you about the monarchs? How we got to watch a monarch emerge last week? And then how we learned it's a boy, how we could figure that out? Then we brought in eggs today too. So we've got eggs, we've got baby caterpillars, and we've got chrysalis in the room. So that's something different. All right, well, if there's nothing else, I'll go ahead and stop this, and feel free to ask me whatever you need to know. All right? You all have a wonderful evening, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.